Let me get my bits together. Okay. So going live. And we're live. Hello, everyone. It's my great pleasure to have a discussion today on Spectre. What is Spectre Wallet? What is Spectre, in fact, not just Spectre Wallet, because it's a range of applications and hardware, or turning into a range of applications and hardware. And I have, how do you want to be introduced? K9.
Kim. Yeah, you can call me Kim. That's fine.
I can call you Kim. Okay. I'm not doxing. There we are. Okay. Kim, and your Twitter profile is K9.
ERT, right?
ERT, that's it. Yeah, ERT. Who works on Spectre Desktop in...
Mostly Spectre Desktop. I mean, Spectre is Spectre Desktop and Spectre DIY. So I'm not really that kind of embedded guy, and so I try to focus a lot on like things like automatic testing and releasing, and I'm maintaining the build agents, which are doing a lot for the Spectre Desktop. It's a lot harder to do that for Spectre DIY. I mean, it's MicroPython, it's Python as well. Sometimes it's fiddly details. Sometimes I'm contributing there as well. But I think it's not the most effective work which I do.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. No, I've spoken to Stephan at length about the hardware stuff. I always think what's great about you guys, though, is like you've made, or people in the team, they've made a lot of the libraries which you use. So, if anything goes wrong, if you need to change anything in the library, it's something somebody just can do in-house, because you've built, in order to build the things you're building, you've had to then also build the libraries which they sit on top on.
Yes, just recently we refactored something in Spectre Desktop, realizing that there is some functionality already in a library which we could reuse, and then probably I have some work doing with some other guy who I'm kind of coaching to also do tests on there as well, right? So I'm not so much. I mean, I have some pretty good, I hope, understanding of Bitcoin, also on a lot of details, but I'm not at all on the level like Ben Kaufman has or Stepan. But the good news is there's a lot of other work to do as well, which is not whether this BIP is implemented like this or that. But also like testing that stuff and doing all the kind of smaller, tinier, not so exciting things, and at least that's exciting for me, I think.
Yeah, I mean, but those what you say, not so exciting. That, I mean, without those things, you'd have a very messy piece of software or hardware, wouldn't you? Where you need people to refactor and tidy things up and do the tests to make sure that everything's working properly. I mean, that's often in free and open source stuff, that can be overlooked, and it's and particularly in Bitcoin, particularly in wallets where you're storing people's value. Good God, like, it's a really important job.
Yes, and I think that's somehow, maybe that's also a little bit kind of my personality, because I'm a little bit chaotic. So I try to get myself into check with more or less processes which I'm setting up, and that's also where I think software can really help a lot or profit a lot, because also it's most often you're so up into what you're currently doing, you have no idea how this looks like. Even if you look at your own code half a year ago, which you wrote half a year ago, it's sometimes like horrible, right? And you think, hey, what did I thought there?
Yeah.
And if you want to build something bigger, then usually there's a in software creation process, there is the dry principle: don't repeat yourself. So you're creating these kind of libraries, you're reusing them in all sorts of manners. So everything is, or a lot of stuff, or even maybe most of the stuff, is reused, and that also means that things can break in places where you have no idea that. Or no longer an idea that it is related. And that's the reason why I think that testing is quite so important, and also good releasing practices and versioning and things like that. And I think it's very good that we in the team are quite diverse from what we what our kind of background is, and what we are focusing on, which areas. And that's, I think, also one of the kind of secrets why it's working so good. I mean, Stepan is very much in DIY embedding and understanding everything in 2 seconds. I have never worked with such a great
Genius.
mind
Yeah,
ever.
it's crazy, isn't it?
Ben is also like, wow, and he's hacking on Spectre desktop, right? And I'm trying to to shuffle releases and improve testing and so on.
But I mean, like everything is good time management, isn't it? I like the don't repeat yourself. I mean, I'm you know, I'm sort of self-taught when it comes to developing and things. So I don't know any of these sort of these ideas and principles, but the don't repeat yourself principle makes a lot of sense. And just good time management. So, like you say, if something breaks and it's a function within a function within a function, and when you're looking at the code and it's all messy, and you're like, well, I didn't even understand how this works. Like, what's connected to what's, you know. And then you spend a day like unpicking this thing, and you find out that it's, you know, something broke over here, which you probably already knew about. That's just a complete waste of time. These teams aren't big, are they? I mean, your Spectre team's not big, considering what you're producing, really.
No, it's definitely not big. And I think that the bigger teams get, or even the more teams you're working with, the more important that kind of stuff really gets, right? So in my past time, I worked most of my career in coaching teams about continuous integration, continuous delivery in a big company where we had 15 to 20 teams. And they should somehow produce a software together, and then it really gets crucial, and you don't get around that at all. Right? In smaller teams, or if you do it on a personal level, you might get away not doing it, but you also might waste a lot of time because, as you said, the reason why something is breaking might be quite really tricky to find out. But if you have, I don't know, 200 tests, right, and you see that these 2 tests are breaking and the customer is complaining, and you look at the tests, and one of these tests is breaking, you might get a much better idea why something gets broken, especially also because the tests are effectively running after each and every change, right? So each pull request gets tested, and even every commit gets tested. And whenever something breaks, you get an email and say, hey, this, and then you have a much better idea. The biggest problem usually is that the test coverage is not big enough, and that things are breaking which are quite difficult to test. For example, Windows. I mean, we're supporting it. Currently, we have a bug, right? So it's the Windows Electron app is not booting up because of some weird error, which does not seem to be related, and that is pretty difficult to test, right? And
God,
but
Windows takes so much important time from people, doesn't it? Developing for Windows and Internet Explorer 8 or whatever. No, we implemented in LMBits. We implemented a whole load of good testing quite early on, but we have got into that. I mean, I think it's partly my fault because I don't do the the format, the prettier JS thing. So quite often you get these, every time I do I'll push a commit, and it's like everyone gets this email saying it's failed this like formatting test, and I feel really guilty. I'm like, oh god. But then it wastes other people's time, doesn't it? Because like somebody else who probably shouldn't be worrying about that then has to go in and tidy up my mess. So yeah, no, it's a good time management on a project. Like, I mean, I always think it's incredible with Bitcoin that, you think about a banking app and like the size of team which would be working on like a banking app, for example, and those things are terrible. They look horrible. They break all the time and they're clunky. And then you think about a Bitcoin, wallet or hardware wallet, for example, and the size of team who's working on it, and then also the the pot which is there, the honeypot which is there for hackers to try and hack into it and break it. I'm sure there's more stress testing going on for Spectre than there would be for some banking, because once you get the Bitcoin, you don't, it's a lot easier to clean those Bitcoin than it is cash you've stolen from some bank. And I always think it's incredible that like the Bitcoin ecosystem does such a great job churning out good software and hardware, comparatively to legacy finance software and hardware. But I suppose that's probably the passion of the people working on it, which kind of shines through.
It's amazing. And I think we are also very grateful that this is the case, because we try to be as slim as a layer with Spectre Desktop as possible. So whenever there's something which Core is doing, then we are very happy that Core is doing, because obviously it has a lot more eyes on its code and it has a lot more reviews. I mean, also the review process, not only the testing. And I feel a little bit ashamed because I have not yet looked into the Python testing framework of Bitcoin Core, which is really a shame, because it seems to be really awesome, but it's also a little bit horrifying because it seems to be like a magic machine somehow, which can do a lot of stuff. And I should look into it. But also the peer review process is so strict in Bitcoin Core, and that is really awesome.
That's a good concept, actually, to have what you're doing is a thin layer, so you're able to leverage all that reviewing which is happening on like you say Bitcoin Core. So I have a Spectre. I got the hardware.
Cool.
I haven't, but I'm so embarrassed because Stepan's a mate, and I've chatted to him a lot, hang out with him at conferences. We're both hardware dorks, and he's helped me out a bunch with a bunch of projects. But I feel bad that I haven't actually put the bloody thing together. And I've almost been scared of putting it together. But I was speaking to Koinikaris yesterday on another podcast thing. And he was saying he was the same. He had this thing sat there for weeks and he didn't try. But then when he finally put it together, he said it took him like 5 minutes to put together, which is just absolutely amazing. But I've got it for the multi-sig stuff. I want to play around with the multi-sig stuff because it's the Spectre hardware wallet. It's not just a Bitcoin hardware wallet, is it? I mean, it can do a lot of kind of cool crypto things. Where I can play around with the multi-sig functionality in it, which I'm quite looking forward to. So, this obviously this discussion is related to the Hacksprint sessions which have been going on for the full Mo Hacksprint, which is kind of related to the Chaos Communication Congress. And you did a session on what is Spectre, which I'm not aware of it being published to YouTube. So I thought part of this discussion would be quite nice to cover some of that material. And then we have the opportunity then to release that information, onto YouTube as well. And people can get access to it there, the sort of more general, broader public who aren't involved in the Lightning Hacksprint. So have you got like a little demo which you could do of the...
I can maybe the demo is I have at least some slides prepared on the Hacksprint, which is probably too boring here. So to maybe just to reiterate that the most crucial part is that Spectre is more than just Spectre DIY. Spectre is also, or Spectre Desktop, depending on which direction you're coming from. So Spectre DIY is the hardware thingy, and we really try to keep it also DIY. And the Spectre Desktop was more or less a project which got accidentally created because Stepan needed a tool to connect his wallet or his DIY to Bitcoin Core, and that's the reason why he did it. So one thing, because what I also showed yesterday, and I didn't tested it, so it was more or less I tested a lot, but not like from end to end, but it turned out to work pretty well. To have maybe I'm sharing my screen now. Here. So there is something like the pruned node today, which is I'm making a bit bigger like this, which is a project from Stepan Snigirev, in order to get up your Bitcoin core and Spectre setup up in like 5 minutes or so, right? Because yesterday in the Hacksprint, I did it a little bit the other way around. I did not start with a development environment. I started with a live environment on mainnet immediately, right? And trying to get why it's so simple, right? So, and effectively, what you can do is you can, if you have Python installed, you can install Spectre as easy as this, right? So currently it's already installed, and then you could also launch it like as easy as this, right? And then
Wow.
whoops, no, it's not as easy as this. What's wrong?
Did you need to sudo in? No?
Let me check. No, it should be okay. Oh wow. Maybe I have what did I do wrong? Template not found. So what I usually do different is I'm using I'm using virtual environments, right? It's a good practice for people who having more than one Python project, because what I just did, or what I did before, is that I installed it for everything in the global space, and you don't usually want that, right?
No.
So and that's the reason. So you're creating a virtual environment, and don't have that on the top of my mind. So
Is that venv or
yeah, it's
pipenv?
very similar to venv.
This is amazing. So I can run a pruned Bitcoin node. This is a really easy way for me. Honestly, like I want to fire up, a Bitcoin node to play around with, then connect my, LND neutrino to or whatever, to play around with some hardware stuff. And I don't want a full Bitcoin node. Like for what I'm using it for, I don't need a full Bitcoin node there and then. I want to start playing around with it immediately.
Well, okay, then maybe we do it a little bit different, because I'm mixing up things a little bit. So
no,
we
this
can
is great.
also make it a little bit different. We make it like this. We are doing just killing the whole Bitcoin folder. There,
Wow.
that's it. So, and I hope here the snapshot is still here. I would need to download it here, so
4
that
gig.
would be 4 gig.
Yeah.
And that would be from the pruned node today, right?
Wow.
So how would you do that? You effectively would create that folder. And then you would, with it, that's the prerequisites. You obviously need the Bitcoin binary, right? That's explained here.
Yeah.
And maybe the link is something which I put in here. So then you would effectively unzip it.
Wow, this is cool.
Yeah, and obviously you're putting some trust here into Stepan, because he created the snapshot on his pruned node.
Yeah.
And yeah, and what we should do here, which we haven't done, but you can see it here, is that we are checking the shaft 256 sum, and you check the signature of Stepan, that the signature is fine for that snapshot.
So say
Right.
if I use this prune node for my say if I use it for my Spectre desktop Spectre wallet hardware wallet thing, can I then in the background be downloading a Bitcoin full node and then switch it across?
So what you're saying, like creating a pruned node out of a full node, or what is your use case here?
So if I use the prune node now, which you're downloading and using, I can then just switch that to the Bitcoin Core full node, can't I? And then
yes, sure.
everything I'm running can connect to it.
Well, no, not. So I don't think it's that easy, because the wallets are mainly stored also on Bitcoin Core side. So it's on Spectre side, but
true.
also on Bitcoin Core.
So I'd have to restore the wallet on the Bitcoin Core.
Yes, but this is pretty easy, and we have some functionality in Spectre already.
Ooh.
So where if you export a node, you create effectively a JSON, or you can.
I'm imagining a big fat QR code for that.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we have to put some more stuff in here. So we have to create an RPC password, RPC user, RPC port, RPC host, right? And now what we can do is we can just simply start Bitcoin in it, and it's catching up now. And this will take about, I would say, 5 to 6 minutes.
Wow.
And then you have a pruned node up and running on your desktop, and you need about 5 to 6 gig for that to have it running.
That's really useful. Wish I'd known about this earlier.
Yeah, it's. I mean, it's not so. I mean, this is pretty new stuff. I think 2 or 3 months since you have it, and yeah. But that's really it's. If you really try to make it slim, it can be done a lot more slimmer, right? And obviously you're losing some of the security trade-offs, but hey, there's always something, right? Okay, so I'm not sure why this didn't work. So I do it with the virtual env, which used to work fine. But that is exactly also the point of virtual envs, right? If you do so much stuff and with Python, and you have no idea in which state the global Python package system is, and that's exactly the reason why you're better off to create one, which
you're less likely to destroy your whole system as well, aren't you? Because I when I used to just install everything globally, I'd end up breaking my my Linux install quite often.
Yes, and everything what we do now with the virtual env and the Bitcoin folder, you can get rid of it by deleting 2 folders, and that's it, right? Okay, so now we can do that again. Python 3. Server, and we get the same thing, and for heaven's sake. So
we're in. Yes.
So let's do it here.
Nice.
Do it a little bit bigger, and this one is still running, because if we would have taken it a little bit more time here, because it's not yet ready. He's still
of course. He's still downloading
stuff,
doing block stuff. Wow, that's cool. So now you have your Spectre desktop running on your computer as a server. I imagine I can imagine this isn't best practice, but can you open this up to the world so you can access it from your phone when you're out and about, or is that a terrible idea?
I mean, if I started like that, then it will only open it up on local hosts and not to the network. So even if you're coming from network, so I could do that. So I'm
not saying. I'm just saying, just as a something people could play around with. They're feeling dangerous.
Like this. Wow. So now it would be on the network available, and I would do it like this. then automatically, that's not the newest version, so I would need to do it on the newest version. Then it would be possible that the SSL certificate gets created on the fly if it's not there, and you have a HTTPS encrypted connection just out of the box.
So would it be safe to run this on your local area network? Like, say if you've got a node, which is on a bigger piece of hardware, running your Lightning node or whatever, and then you also wanted it to run your Spectre desktop wallet, but you didn't want to have to plug a screen in or anything to it, so you could access this software on your other computers in the house.
Yeah.
Then that would that be a dangerous thing to do? Or is that kind of?
I mean, self-signed certificates always have some kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem is if you have a man-in-the-middle attack and you have not actively activated that SSL certificate on each and every machine you're accessing Spectre with, then you might have a man-in-the-middle attack, right?
Yeah,
but at
sure.
least if you have created it in the first place, I think it's more secure than not doing it, right?
Yeah.
But because if the certificate would change, you would get a message, and then the attacker needs to be just in the very beginning in the middle, right? But if he's coming in and then changing the certificate, then at least with the browser which you're using on a day-to-day basis, you would get a message saying like the certificate changed, right?
Yeah,
And then you
sure.
have to, and maybe you're used to that because you're using self-signed certificate and you're just thinking, yeah, accept, and that would be bad.
Yeah.
But at least it is better. But there are different opinions here as well, which think that self-signed certificates are security CS. I don't think so, but there is no black and white, right?
No, that does always. That's something I don't like about the L&D stuff. Is the getting into the habit of just saying, yeah, I accept. I trust them. Keep moving, and then I don't, because those screens which come up, if they ever come up when you're using a web browser, you instantly just back off and don't visit that site, do you? Because you don't trust it. So there is isn't there a new, not SSL, isn't it, like TSSL, or isn't there a newer sort of warning where you can't have the option? Is that right, to proceed to the website?
I am not aware of that, but I'm also not a security specialist, so I'm not so much into that. So I don't know. Yesterday that worked a lot better, I have to say. Right, it was absolutely seamless, and now it is struggling, and I have no idea why. So you see here, the update tip here is something like day before yesterday, so it's not downloading blocks like crazy, and so I'm not sure why that is.
I mean, we could just leave that chugging away in the background if you want, and then
but it doesn't it doesn't make the impression that it's downloading blocks. So now that looks much better. At least that's how it's supposed to look like, right? So we will need a couple of, but in the meantime, maybe we can have a look at Spectre Desktop here.
Yeah.
And because usually if it would be recent, and if probably even now, if I do a reload now, no, let me check the opener. That's too small. Just checking. Yeah, that looks good. So I guess the RPC connection is not yet ready, because what you usually get is you have an auto detection mechanism in there. If you're running Spectre Desktop on the same machine, then or not on the same machine, on the same machine plus the same user, you're running the Bitcoin Core, then Spectre Desktop will just look into its folder.bitcoin and will pass the configuration in here, and will know, okay, this is the RPC password, and this is the RPC user, and that's where I can find my Bitcoin Core, right? And then in that case, it will simply, oh, I didn't activate it. Yeah, I did. Auto detect is on. I kicked it off. Okay, save. So auto detect was failed
Oh
connecting
yeah,
to the
fail
node.
connect. That's probably what you're
Well,
saying. Maybe it needs.
yeah. So maybe it's still waiting, but I don't think so. We can test it here as well, and auto detect failed, unfortunately.
I've had that before when we were talking about that yesterday. We've had that before with LND. You know, when you know the Bitcoin's running and then occasionally you just can't connect. And then
Yeah,
you just go like do a system restart or something, suddenly it just magically works. You know, okay.
Okay, maybe it catched up yesterday. So because I did some much more work here. So what we can also do in the meantime, we can have a rec test up and running.
Yeah.
So if you want to, we want to go into the virtual env again, right? And what you can do is here Python 3 crypto advance .spectre Bitcoin D no Docker. Yeah, are you? Okay. Had that skill yesterday as well. This is now some development. It goes in the direction of the development. So yesterday, first I had a real system up and running. Did a small penny test. Send some coins out in and get them out again. And when you go into the development direction, you need some more prerequisites which you need. And so
No,
installing that here.
yeah. I mean, as you said, you've done work on it, and I sprung this demo on you just before the thing. I was like, "Oh, can you do a demo in the in the video?" So you haven't had time to prepare and check it and get it ready.
Yeah, and so now rec test is there's mainnet, there's testnet, and testnet is not worth anything, but at least it's sometimes it makes sense as a developer to have your own tiny Bitcoin D running, and you can control when new blocks are mined. And that's what you can do here very easily. We built some wrapping stuff around that, so to make it easier and to also mine a block every 15 seconds. And also, if you have some kind of wallet up and running, that you can fund it easily, right? So, and that makes development much easier, right? Now, in the meantime, still thinking. Okay, we have now.
Pretty close.
I guess we are almost done. So let me check that again. Cancel. Auto detection is simply not working. It's incredible. Yesterday, everything went smooth like crazy. I was really surprised. Today,
you never do a demo, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so what we can do here is
it's not the folder, the home demo. It's not the folder location, is it? No. Or maybe no.
So at least here the rec test is working like is working fine, right? So
yeah.
And you can click that test button, and then you usually get an idea what's wrong or whether everything is fine. So it's connectable, credentials are fine, the version is okay, and the wallets are enabled. Because you can run a Bitcoin D without enabling the wallets. That's that server one thing in the bitcoin.conf file. And you have to activate it because, as said, it's Bitcoin Core is doing a lot of the heavy lifting. Okay, so now we could potentially add a new wallet, and we can do it a single key wallet and do the rec test here and call it something like, I don't know, hot wallet, rec test, call it 2, just because.
Oh, nice.
So and here, for example, is by the way also you can have a PDF backup, yeah, which you get here the
Cool.
information about that wallet. It's not the secrets, right?
Yeah.
Because the secrets we have created that on the device before. But that is mainly with multi-signature in your mind, where maybe you need an idea of what the wallet descriptors of the other wallets are and so on, right? And then you're storing that, you print it out, you store it with all your devices in the multi-signature setup.
So could you scan that with like Blue Wallet or something? Like
Let
you
me.
are,
There
and
is
import it.
here better information. We improved it. You can. So this is a hot wallet. Here, yeah, exactly. Export to wallet software. Import this wallet, another Spectre instance, or another supported wallet software. And I
Oh,
think
nice.
Blue Wallet, it goes in one direction, but it doesn't go in the other. So I don't think you can import from Blue Wallet, but you can export it to Blue Wallet.
Yeah, okay.
But they're working on it. In the new version, you get some more information here. What the current the supported other wallets are, right?
Yeah.
This is a little bit missing here, right? But it will get better next version. Yeah, and there's the PDF backup again, and I think, yeah, you could also just simply scan it, or here, I mean, it's a simple JSON file.
Yeah.
And here there's also the special Electrum format here. In that case, yeah, because this is especially because Electrum is very maybe interesting for other people who are migrating from Electrum. So they might want to run it in parallel, something like that, right? So you could potentially download that file, import it in Electrum, and it does not it's not only watch only. It's watch only if you have. What was the case of watch only? I think yeah, that's the point here, right? So if the device is supported in Electrum, you
Yeah.
get a regular wallet, and otherwise you get a watch only wallet.
Oh, wow, cool. That's cool. That's
Yeah,
clever. That's some
but
clever stuff right there.
I think we are supporting more devices. So if you look here, so these are currently the supported devices. You have a Trezor, one or Model T, you have a Ledger, you have a Bitbox
Yeah.
2. I'm not sure about other versions. Spectre DIY, obviously, Cold Card, obviously, and Keep Key,
Yeah.
Cobalt, which is also air gapped, right? And you can also use an Electrum in order to sign your multi-signature. So
Yeah.
you're using Electrum as a kind of additional device.
You can
right?
use that. Yeah. Sorry.
And what we just did here, we had a Bitcoin Core hot wallet, right? And we are using that as yeah. I mean, it's a feature we were a little bit don't know whether it's a really good feature because we are very much on cold solutions.
Yeah.
And this is a hot wallet, but hey, it makes testing also a little bit easier, and you can even use it also in your multi-signature setup if that makes any sense to you. Yeah, and other I don't know. You can experiment that. I
So
think
with the Bitcoin Core, could you do like liquid tokens and things with Spectre? Are they compatible? Like
liquid.
wallets?
You're talking about the liquid sidechain.
Yeah.
Yeah, potentially one could build in liquid support, right? So I think what we're really trying to do here is to have Spectre as a kind of a mechanism tool, not a policy tool, right?
Yeah.
So we don't want to restrict what people can do it on, and we also try to be as open as possible. So, for example, if you're signing a transaction, you can also copy and paste the different data at any point in time, and just use it differently than we thought about it. And so Liquid could be also a nice use case for Spectre.
Well, for
Spectre.
someone, I mean, for people who, well, like you say, they want to develop, and they could use Spectre Wallet as just something to start building from, couldn't they? You know, start building on top of.
Yes, why not? I mean, currently we are 4 developers and or 3, and there are already contributors who are mostly doing bug fixes and tiny kinds of changes. If you have something bigger, it would be nice to talk to us up front, because for example, there was one guy just recently, and he developed I think in the wallet tab. Let's just here get some money into this wallet. So there is currently no transactions. So what I will do, we are on reg test currently. So I'm stopping the reg test. It takes some time to properly do that.
Shutting down gracefully, isn't it? Which is what you want.
Yes, yeah. I had some, because it might crash and the file system crashes, but I want to have the file system again, because if I restart it, it will simply mine to that address here, to that receive address. Oops.
Oh, nice. Oh, look at that. Cool.
And then automatically, oh, bam, everything's going wrong today.
Everything's going wrong. I like it, though. I like the way you're persevering. And, yeah.
I thought that might also be... Okay, so there are some situations with the old version where we need to restart just to get it back again.
Yeah, that's very usual, isn't it? Oh, look, there we are.
So
some transactions. Nice.
Yes, so we got funded automatically, because that's what you want to do very quickly.
Yeah.
And so there is some idea was
You're rich.
to do that in a different way here, and he spent a lot of time with making it more easily, and then Ben figured out that the calls to Bitcoin Core are, from a performance point of view, not very good. So if you have something bigger in your mind and you want to work on that, it might be better to just contact us up front and ask whether it makes sense, and maybe we are already working on stuff which might be related, and then we can better coordinate. So that's definitely, but it is definitely a tool which tries to cover a lot use cases, and want to cover that as well in the future.
I want to just for Alan Bits, I want to make a Spectre watch only extension where I can create a PSBT and then send it to a Spectre, sign it, send it back, broadcast it, but just have it as just like a watch only, very simple watch only extension.
Okay.
Just basically using all of Steppen's libraries. Because
okay.
But yeah, I've spoken to Steppen about. I was going to ask him if he could have a look over it for me, and I think because I'm not so used to the on-chain stuff, so I think my kind of workflow, my user experience is a bit arse backwards at the moment, but it's coming along. Like I can generate, I can put in a XPub, and I can generate public keys and addresses and stuff. And then initially I was going to work on that bit, and then I was going to build in the PSBT functionality, just because it means that as a whole piece of software, we could then start doing on-chain stuff. So, when someone requests an invoice for their point of sale, they could request a Lightning invoice, or, a Bitcoin address. So more like I suppose a BTC Pay kind of experience. But it would be nice. I would love to try and make something, a Spectre extension. That's what I'm aiming for at some point.
Awesome. That would be, yeah, very much appreciated.
Be fun, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Okay, so I just changed the Bitcoin Core. I don't know why the auto detect is currently not working, but if I manually configure it,
I bet if you did a system restart, it'd figure it all out. You can't do that.
Probably. Yeah, no, we won't do it. So that's now mainnet, and now you see that the wallet disappeared, which was Rectest before, and so now we are on mainnet effectively, right? And we could, we have here the mainnet wallet, and we could potentially create a node, create a wallet. Yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Yeah.
So you can you can restore a wallet using a seed in Spectre.
Yeah. Well, what you have. So let's assume we always assume it's about hardware wallets, right? So for example, I can connect one just quickly. Is that the right one? No, this is the right one. So let's assume I have a Trezor, for example, USB one, or I could also here. Let's assume you have a Trezor at home, right? And then you add a new device, and you say, okay, I want to have a Trezor here, and then get it via USB. You need a pin, so I have a pin set up.
Oh, so I can. So instead of using the Trezor browser, web browser thing, I can use this.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the point.
Wow.
Yeah. So
the penny's finally dropped.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you don't need a pass. So in that case, there is no passphrase. So it's loading the keys from my Trezor.
Yeah. I hope this has nothing
gone. I have to admit that if I would have lost my Trezor, then I would want to reseed it, and I'm not sure this is possible via Spectre. I think you need the Trezor tools, but you don't need to be online for that. So as far as I can remember, I did it once, and there is a Trezor tooling for that where you can do it offline.
Yeah.
Right. So that's it. Add the device. Yeah. So maybe we want to have another device. So let's look how it looks like for DIY, for example, right? So with power, use the power. Okay.
That's a Spectre beep.
That's Spectre beep, exactly. So maybe, not sure how to best do that, but I think maybe you can allow the camera, and then you can see me.
Yep.
Okay, so charge again. Yeah, so I replug it again here. So I'm just about to import a Spectre DIY. So you need to put in the pin here, and then you would effectively be able to generate a new key or enter a seed. So let's generate a new key. We have it like this. And by the way, you can add your. There's some video from Stefan where you can flip the bits on each of the words. So I did here this is the word, and then
the audio's going a bit funny for me there.
Flip the bits. Not sure what the audio problem is.
Yeah.
Right, and so yeah.
So you can you can flip the words. Flip the words. Did you say?
Yes, so you can add your own entropy, and the way Stepan is recommending it is that you take 8 coins or so, and then you put them on the table, and then you have tails or what's the other
Heads,
word?
yeah.
Heads or tails, and then for tails you flip the bit, and for head you don't do it. And then you go through all the words, and you have added your own entropy somehow to the words. Anyway, in that case, now we would have the wallet here, and you have to import, at least for multisig. I don't think we have to do that here. Yeah. Add the device for single key, for example. So we're adding the single key here. We can have do that for single key or multi-sig. Let's do it here, and now I have to.
This is great.
Yeah. So now I have imported the single sig separate key, right? And we call it Spectre DIY.
Yeah.
Add device. Yeah. And now maybe we want to create a multi-sig. So we say, okay, we want to have the treasure and is my Spectre DIY. Sorted multi-sig. I'm not sure why I can't do that, but it might be. Oh, the node is also gone. I think we have to. We haven't clicked save. That's bad. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so again, add new wallet, multi-signature. Spectre DIY is not in, and I think that's due to the keys. So maybe we have. Mainnet, and the treasure is also on mainnet. Spectre DIY is on mainnet. Single segwit.
Yeah.
It's the device treasure. Okay, everything's going wrong. Now we're doing it with the hot wallet. So you create the wallet. You're using, well, maybe probably 2 out of 2. Otherwise, that would not make so much sense. Call it multi-sig. Create the wallets.
I love the slow.
Yeah, and I think we would need more time because there are some pitfalls for multisig, which is quite important to know about, especially validating addresses on devices, also change addresses. Some devices support that better than others, and so just Ben Kaufman just recently had a nice tweet storm about the details here. So yeah. But this, for example, the safe backup PDF, that is especially good when it comes to multisig, because you want to know what different devices are in that multisig and the wallet descriptors and so on, and that's where this thing gets interesting.
It's great, man. It's great. I mean, for the average user with some bit, some satoshis or whatever, probably doesn't need to worry so much about using a multi-sig. But for people who have like a larger stash, or for a company, their multi-sigs are invaluable. And like we were saying yesterday in another discussion, having Spectre wallet and having something which isn't susceptible to the supply chain attacks, you can use a DIY wallet in a multi-sig is just brilliant. And for people, this is a cheap device. This is a cheap hardware wallet, effectively, isn't it? So, and it isn't hard to put together. And then when you have put it together, you can spin Spectre desktop wallet up, and you can play around with all this cool multi-sig stuff, and do it on testnet, get to know it and understand and use, how to use it all properly first. And then once people have that knowledge, then they can start, securing their Bitcoin on mainnet. Yeah, but we were saying that it just feels like multi-sig. Obviously, it's been there for the ability to do multi-sig has been around for quite a while, but it just feels like more and more it's being used for all sorts of interesting applications, and it's coming kind of into the forefront of the public, lexicon, I suppose. People are kind of used to the concepts a little bit more, and Spectre's a great way of experimenting with all that stuff.
Absolutely, it's really fun.
I got huge respect for you as well, like wrestling through a demo where everything goes wrong and you still got it to work. So it's pretty impressive stuff. Like I said, it probably would all just fix itself with a system reboot, but you obviously couldn't do that because we're streaming through it. So, but no, it's great, man. It's great. I'm going to put this bloody thing together. It's crazy. It's just sat here. I'm not even done it. And then run Spectre desktop. And then at some point when I have something of an extension put together, I'll hit you up and I'll get you to see what you think about it for the Element Spectre. Like a small, just watch only thing, very limited in scope. Probably just focusing on the DIY, on Spectre desktop wallet, rather than Spectre hardware wallet rather than on Trezor support and whatever else. Just focusing on keeping it very small at the moment. But just more for a way to people play around and hack with stuff. But it does scare me because obviously on-chain equals bigger funds, doesn't it? And
right, yeah,
it must be a scary part about what you do is just that that inevitably people are going to put money on this thing and keeping it secure.
But the attack vector for Spectre desktop is not that.
Oh, because you say it's thin, yeah.
It's not that huge. I mean, for heaven's sake, we trust in well, not we, but the users of Spectre desktop should trust in their hardware wallets. And the reason why you want to use Spectre desktop is in order to also mitigate these supply chain attacks. So you're having different hardware wallet vendors combining it to your multi-sig, so that if when one of the hardware vendors get hacked or have some kind of strange scammy dropout, then you're not that hard protected, right?
It's orders of magnitude more secure. It's kind of the difference between using a single hardware wallet compared to having your Bitcoin stored on your phone. That's the difference between using multiple multi-sig and multiple hardware wallets from different vendors and using a single, hardware wallet. Like it's orders of magnitude better, isn't it, for security?
Yeah, and even if you don't trust hardware wallets at all and you want to use your desktop software, then multi-sig is still an option for you, or should be an option for you.
Yeah.
Right? You can plug in an Electrum. You can plug in a Core hot wallet, which might be even possible that you plug in a Core cold wallet, because the Core is never. So if you're JW Weatherman and you only trust Core, I think it's pretty easy to do a multi-sig with a kind of Bitcoin Core cold wallet.
Yeah.
So that would be possible as well. It should provide mechanism. We are not policing, or maybe we are to certain people.
Something I'm quite
implementing some setups, but I think it's pretty. The discussion is still open. The winner is not there, and maybe the winner will never be there, because also the point is that people do different solutions.
Yeah.
Because imagine if everyone would use the same solution, everyone would use the same custody, and everyone is completely centralized, and that get hacked. That would be awful as well.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I'm looking forward to. I think in 2021 we're going to have a lot cheaper than kind of a cottage industry of hardware wallets appearing, where people are using a lot of these off-the-shelf devices to create hardware wallets, which I look forward to, because I think the price point, even though, people should invest $100 on a hardware wallet if they, even if they've got $100 worth of Bitcoin, often people don't, because it just all feels too expensive, doesn't it? Whereas, they want to just save a few pennies, whereas, DIY devices, and I know, Stepan's got some cheaper hardware he's been looking at and playing around with as well. So it'd be great to get like a mixed landscape of different devices, different secure chips from different vendors. And like you said, I think that's definitely the future for Bitcoin security. So much fun. What I want to use this for is, so what I want to make is, I want to make as an experiment, because I want to play around with the liquid stuff. I want to make a Welsh pound token, and I want it to be federated. So the supply of the token to be federated with a multi-sig. So I have like, so the idea would be that it'd be geographically federated between different counties in Wales, where I live, and then each county, they would, if they wanted to increase the supply of this token, they would all have to collectively, sign for that transaction to say, yes, we want to increase the supply or decrease the supply. I really wanted to play around with that concept of like a federated, token distribution thing, like a more honest fiat, I suppose. It's a bit of a controversial subject in Bitcoin, but I really wanted to play around with that. And I think the multi-sig stuff and Spectre, I definitely need to get better at multi-sig stuff. So I think Spectre's the way to go with all that. I'm playing around with it, and for making like a hardware device, which you could imagine someone having to sign, yes, I agree to this thing, or as a voting mechanism. I'm quite interested in exploring it for that kind of purpose. But as it's all free and open source, like, it's easy to kind of build and develop and push in different directions, isn't it? Which is also the great thing about Spectre.
Yes. Yeah, we are looking forward to what's coming up and what people come up with, and we'll get an exciting 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been like Spectre's it was like slow burning in the background for so long, and then recently it just feels like it's gone, the interest, and I'm seeing it a lot more on Twitter, and I'm seeing a lot more people discovering it. So, buying the parts, building the wallet, using the desktop software, and more people are just blown away by how great it is. So keep up the great work, man. And
Thank you. Thank you very much.
And it was great to speak to you, and thank you for muscling through that demo. It was great.
Let's see. At least yesterday, everything worked like a charm. Maybe that was a demo god who said, okay, yesterday you had luck, and today.
That's how it goes. All right, great, man. Thanks so much for the chat. It's been great. And for everyone, for the audience, thanks for watching. Do like and subscribe and share the video, because then more people get access to the content. Honestly, buy one of these, or don't even need to buy one of these. Download the Spectre desktop software from the repo. So is it Advanced Crypto on GitHub?
I can post the links to the two projects here in the
all right, the chat here, and then I can put it in the so I'll put that in the YouTube description thingy.
Yeah, and it's I don't have my shortcuts here. That's a demo account. github.com/cryptoadvanced/Spectre desktop, for example, or Spectre -DIY. So first of all, post that link in here. That's the one.
Cool.
And the other one is DIY. And there's in the documentation folder, the docs folder, there's a shopping list here.
Yeah, I used that. Yeah, when I got my stuff, it's great.
And it's effectively on these two things. And we discussed it before. There is let me do some unfair advertisement here.
Yes, please do.
So my son, I have two of them, they having a small lightning shop where they are selling effectively this thing here. Right, so it's if you are not able to, because you can connect it somehow. There's a link also on the in the first in the gift from GitHub. There's a link to a video from Sevan, who's assembling these components in here within 5 minutes. But then, yeah, you have to tie it up with some rubber band or whatever. And if you want something which is a little bit more soldered like this here.
Oh, so you sell like a kit?
Yeah, it's
that's
a kind
cool.
of DIY kit. So my kids are
Breadboard.
soldering it, and then they are selling it via the shop. So if you want to have that one, look at the last link, and they will be happy to serve you. And if you don't order immediately, maybe if you even order immediately, they are currently working on a case on a 3D printer. So some friends of them have a 3D printer. We don't have one, unfortunately. They had to switch the vendor because the first vendor at some point in time said, "Oh no, it's too much for me." Now so they're looking to a different friend of them.
Brilliant.
And they're waiting already for the second week that.
These kits are great. Yeah.
But yeah, so if you want to have that, do it by yourself, but not really soldering yourself. Then order it there.
Yeah, I'm all for that. I mean, as my son, because I sell the little stamps, little buy Bitcoin stamps, and I've given the task to him. I think it's great. Put him to work, get him stacking some sats. Means you don't have to pay him pocket money. it's a win-win. It's a win-win. So no, that's great. Well done for that. And yeah, everyone go check out that shop and yeah, brilliant. Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, I shall be in contact again soon. And cheers. Yeah, thanks again. And thanks for everyone for watching. Cheers. Bye.